This is Rabbi Steve Wernick, one of the rabbis of Beth Tzedec congregation in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, coming to you live from Facebook and YouTube from our Beth Tzedec congregation Facebook page and our Beth Tzedec subscription page on YouTube. We hope everybody's doing very well and staying safe and healthy and working very hard to keep your families enjoying each other's company and fun and pleasure as well. We hope that today you had a really good day. The weather for Shabbat was wonderful. My wife and I took our dog for a lovely 2-hour walk. It was just great to be outside. And today, for most of the day, it was quite nice. And even though it's drizzling a little bit now here in Toronto, for this May 2-4 Victoria Day weekend, we did still barbecue. So tonight's dinner is barbecue in honor of the holiday weekend. This is Kid Story Time. And so this is Kid Story Time with Reb Steve. And I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories. I love the Hasidic stories, especially the stories about the Chafetz Chaim, who was a very famous rabbi who lived in the town of Radin, which was in Poland. And he wrote this incredible book all about Lashon Hara. He understood that language could be used to bless people, or it could be used to make people feel bad. And that's one of the things that we constantly learn, really all through our lives. We think that when we're little kids, it's hard just to say nice things, but even as adults, sometimes we have to learn to say nice things. Or as my mother used to say to me, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so the Chafetz Chaim wrote a whole book about the halachot, about the Jewish values of Lashon Hara. But he was also very well known for being a really knowledgeable rabbi who would travel around all the towns of Poland and Eastern Europe and areas of Russia and Lithuania and the Ukraine. And he would answer all sorts of questions. This was one of the stories that I told previously about the butterfly, and that the answer to the question was in your hands. He would travel around, he would answer all sorts of questions, and he would also tell stories. And the stories that he would tell were stories that always had a moral to them, a lesson that we can learn that helps us to become better human beings. So this story is about the Chafetz Chaim, who lived in that town called Radin, and he was very, very careful to never, ever speak Lashon Hara. He never, ever said anything that would hurt another person. He never told a lie. He never told people something that was even half true. He never repeated all the gossip that sometimes people would share with him. And as a famous rabbi, where everybody would come and share with him, he knew a lot of things about a lot of people, but he made sure never, ever to speak Lashon Hara. And he worked very, very hard his entire life to act kindly towards other people and carefully watch every word that he said. One day, he hired a wagon driver to take him to Tiktin because he would like to sell some of his books there. It would be my pleasure, replied the wagon driver. They agreed on the price, and the Chafetz Chaim climbed into the wagon, and away they went. They rode together through the countryside, taking in all the beautiful sights. After riding for a while through forests and villages, they passed a field of wheat. Wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute, said the wagon driver. I see there's so much wheat here. Surely the owner won't mind if I take just a bundle or two of the wheat. So the driver pulled over to the side of the road. He stopped his horse and wagon. He jumped down and he grabbed as many bundles of wheat as he could, and he took them from the field and put them onto his truck. From the field onto his truck. Excuse me. Just then, the Chafetz Chaim yelled, "Be careful! Someone's watching! Someone sees you!" The wagon driver was frightened. He's looking around. Somebody's watching me. He quickly jumps up into the wagon. He grabs the reins. Giddy up! And away they go. Moving as fast as they can, the horse pulls the wagon away from this field of wheat at a frantic pace. And the wagon driver, as he's driving the wagon, he's looking around to see, Has anybody seen me? Has anybody seen what I was doing? And eventually the wagon driver starts to slow down. And he's looking around and he sees, wait a second, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Angrily, he turns to the Chafetz Chaim and he says, why did you tell me somebody was watching? There was no one watching me. No one saw. I could have taken all the wheat. The Chafetz Chaim gave the wagon driver a penetrating stare. He looked at him and he thought for a while. And he said to the wagon driver, you think no one is watching you? The Chafetz Chaim raised his eyes towards heaven. God is always watching. Don't think for a second that something ever passes when God does not see everything that you are doing. It's a great story because it reminds us that the drive to tell the truth, the drive to be helpful, the drive to follow mitzvot, to follow the commandments, and to work on being the best person that we know how to be is not because other people are watching us. It's because God is watching us. And whether we believe that God is watching us directly or God is watching us as part of our conscious, as part of our thinking, as part of our instinct to know what is right and wrong, we know that doing right is always right. We know it in our hearts. We know it from the way in which we build successful societies. And we know it by the way in which we build successful families as well. So the lesson of the Chafetz Chaim is that somebody's always watching. And so we should strive to be as good as we know how to be. That's my story for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and that you and your families continue to join us at Beth Tzedek for Beth Tzedek All Access, www.beth-tzedek.org, and come and participate with our next story time or family Shabbat or one of the schools or learning programs or Minyan. We're here for each other all the time. Have a good evening and Shavua Tov.